Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to Motor India's Trans Report. Uh, I'm Dhyanesh Ravichandran, who is the host for this episode of Motor India's video series, Combating COVID Crisis. Today in our show, the guest is Mr. Puneet Vidyarthi, who is the brand leader of Case India, one of the leading manufacturers of construction equipment and earth-moving equipments in India. We would like to understand his perspectives on the impacts and challenges arising out of the COVID-19 pandemic on the company's businesses, as well as the construction equipment industry in general. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for sparing your time with us. It's a pleasure to have you in our show.
Good morning, Divyansh. Hope you are
Right.
all well and everybody
Yes,
is
sir.
safe
Yeah,
and
we are
healthy
doing
and
good. Yeah, hope you
trying
are
to cope.
fine too. Right. To start with, as this we are at most at the end of 3 full months of lockdown, may it be partial or even full lockdown. It's all depending on which state you are, which cities you are in. But we are all in some kind of a lockdown for past 3 months, and the
Yeah.
industrial activities, the construction activities, everything have taken a huge hit. So, what is your personal assessment of the impacts of this pandemic lockdown on the construction activities in India? Before moving into your manufacturing uh, perspective, we would like to understand your assessment of the construction activities that are going in India. What is your idea or perspective in that
Divyansh, you are actually absolutely correct. And this lockdown or this unprecedented situation probably has come for the first time in all of our lives. I mean, any living being on this planet today has gone through this kind of situation earlier.
regard? Right.
There had been instances, here and there, but of this magnitude and this much impact, which this particular situation has, created on the mankind as a whole, and actually the entire planet looks different. What it used to look, maybe 3 months back. In certain aspects, it's good, but largely it has impacted negatively to most of us. While this pandemic and this lockdown has actually changed lots of paradigms, lots of things have changed, some for good and some for obviously not so good. First of all, my personal heartfelt condolence to each one of the individual who has suffered their losses through this. And some of the losses are irreparable. Almost every one of us has got impacted because of this. Now, in India, actually, construction is a very significant pillar for the economy. I think after agriculture, construction field is the second largest field which provides employment to the number of people, directly or indirectly. And the lockdown has actually for a significant period of time has put a stop to these activities. So therefore, stopping of construction activities for some time has definitely impacted the livelihood of a lot of people directly, and also the growth path which India as a country was moving on. Construction equipment industry, unfortunately, was anyways facing the liquidity crunch before the lockdown as well. Unfortunate part was that this lockdown has not helped on that cause. So my personal assessment is that the lockdown actually has been a double whammy for this sector, which was any which ways facing liquidity crunch. Government had taken a couple of initiatives, towards the last part of last year, and the impact of those measures have slowly started coming, started becoming visible, and then the lockdown happened. So before the things would have come back to normal for construction equipment industry, this lockdown happened. So yes, it has impacted significantly this particular sector.
Okay, right. And we could see that there is also a total disruption of the entire ecosystem. So starting from the consumer or the customer activities to sourcing of components as well as manufacturing, everything has taken a hit. So now, at least in the last 1 month or so, there are some partial relaxation of the lockdown, so that the manufacturing side is taking a little bit of, it is coming to a good shape, at least we can say. So how is the trend at your side, perhaps with case constructions? What is your status of your operations right now? What about your production or the manufacturing facilities? Are they working to their fullest? And what is the status at your dealerships as well?
Yeah. So as far as the manufacturing is concerned, for us, we have started taking all the necessary precautions and restarted rather the operations, the manufacturing operations, so to say. As you rightly said, the lockdown had impacted not only the OEMs but also the entire supply chain, the suppliers, so to say. So typically, any manufacturing industry can run with the stocks on the house, or the components which are in transit for maybe month and a half, and depends upon how efficiently an organization is managing the supply chain. But beyond whatever it is, so it's whether 5 days or 50 days, but beyond that, the restart takes a longer time. I mean, and especially in some of the processes, like say paint shop, for example, because the lockdown happened, and it had to happen that way. Probably it had happened, like this. So there was an announcement, and the lockdown happened. So most of the manufacturers could not take necessary steps to organize things before lockdown happened. Paint shop, for example, or any other process which takes time. That has created a lot of obstacles for the restart. And now, construction equipment industry, steel is a major component as a raw material. Now, because the lockdown happened and the processing of those components or raw material, steel sheets or nothing could have been done. So before the restart happens, a lot of processing was necessary to be done on those components. Rust would have happened, contamination would have come in. So the restart therefore is not as swift as the lockdown was. So both from the manufacturer point of view and from the supply chain point of view, the restart has taken longer than the shutdown. But the good part is that as an industry, we are coming out of it. As far as case is concerned, we have started operations not to the fullest, but partial operations in our manufacturing facility. And so is our vendors as well. Some of the components which are produced by the suppliers or the vendor partners, which are highly technical in nature, or which are still probably the manufacturing facilities are, say, around Pune or Chennai. So there is a disruption to that extent. As far as dealers are concerned, the restart at the dealerships was better in terms of the restart, swiftness of restart. Mining as a sector was part of the essential services even during the initial part of lockdown, and our machines work in mining as well. So to support those essential services, some of our dealerships they did open with the due permissions from the local authorities, which are and they performed the activities which were required to support those machines which are working in the mining. Which essentially means the parts and service of those equipment which are operating in mining, and the machines which are working in the sanitation work, municipal solid waste management work, again with the due permission of the local authorities and within the norms which were laid down by the government. So some of the dealerships which were catering to these essential services, they started opening earlier. Obviously, they didn't open the shop to the fullest. It was like supply of the parts and service on this on-site service kind of thing. But as the unlocking is happening, the opening of dealerships is much swifter. We are facing a bit of a challenge at certain places where the dealership personnel probably have also migrated to their native places, but most of them have come back. So as we speak, I think 95% plus of our dealer outlets are operational, they're working, and the business is going on over there. Supplies of parts from our side has also resumed. I think so machines, as far as customers' machines are concerned, we had ensured that even the lockdown, the machines which are operating in essential services, they continue to operate without any glitch. I wouldn't say that was 100%, but yes, by and large, they were all managed.
Right. As far as Case India is concerned, I understand that your brand is fully focused on earth moving as well as mining equipments. So, and you also have a set of products which includes like the motor graders, for instance, or fully imported from your parent like manufacturing facilities, right? So, when the local production, like and say for instance, your compactors are all being locally produced, and those products are fully imported. Now, which segments are the ones that are facing the major issue right now? Do you find any ease in importing those fully built products, which are a little bit easier right now, or how's the scenario right now for you?
Okay, so as far as the imported products are concerned, we had enough inventory available with us. Okay. So to that extent, we could manage this lockdown pretty well. And there is no shortage of any imported product what we are offering in Indian market today. Okay. So we have ample stock. We are catering to all our customers. And I said the unlocking. So during the lockdown also the mining activities was continuing. So we had been supporting that. And post unlocking, again thanks to some of the initiatives which are taken by the government, road sector appears to be one of the key drivers, and most of our products, they go into the road construction work. And again, there also we had been able to manage our inventories very, very well. So there is no shortage of any product from our side, whether it's imported or locally manufactured. We have got enough stocks, ample stocks available, all these stock points, all the variants are there. So to that extent, we had been able to manage this lockdown pretty well. And now the production has started, so even the fresh supplies are also started coming into the pipeline.
I understand that the construction equipment segment, as such, is going through a kind of a roller coaster ride for quite some time. Like for instance, I remember by end of 2018 and the beginning of 2019, the segment, the demand was so high. And then we could see in the later months of 2019, we could see a little bit of drop in demand. And so which means like even before Corona pandemic also, there were some issues in terms of subdued demand for the construction equipment. So now, yes, post this pandemic, how do you see this trend like taking up? Is it going to be, the challenge is going to be multifold, or you have any specific growth segments wherein the manufacturers can focus on, and then so as to bring back some kind of a revival for the sector? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. End of 2018 and the first January to March quarter of 2019 there was a buoyancy in the market. Right. Largely because of the part of it was the pent up demand, and part of it because there was activities happening around all across. Right. So April onwards in 2019, the sluggishness in the market started coming in, and July to September, that quarter was pretty bad in terms of both demand and also money availability. And because it was, as you rightly said, roller coaster ride, so dealers also suffered, the channel suffered because of huge inventory, because the business was going at a fast pace. So the channel inventory was at that level to support that kind of pace. And then there was a sudden drop. So yeah, so there was stress in the entire set of activities, dealer and customer and manufacturers and suppliers and vendors and everywhere. I think XCon last year was it was a good event, so to say. We could see good quality customers coming to XCon, good interest all over. And as an industry, we all are very hopeful that it has started coming back. And by the time government had already taken a couple of steps to ease out that liquidity crunch, and XCon was a manifestation of that the turnaround coming just around the corner. Turnaround was around the corner. So January this year, it was a good movement. But mid-February onwards, or end of February, when the COVID had started creating those uncertainties in the marketplace, and March, all of us knew the entire thing went into the lockdown. So as I said, so even before the industry could have come out of those bad times of 3 quarters straight, if I may say so, lockdown happened. So it is continuing. The stress is continuing. This month, however, we see some movement in the marketplace. I mean, this month which is June. Partly also, some of the customers are preponing the purchases before monsoon hits, so that the works can be completed. And primarily, these projects are the ones where government has allowed, given extension to contractors to complete the job, which was to be completed before 31st of March. So part of it is that, and part of it is the new projects, but very few new projects which have come in. And we also see some movement in the mining sector. So going forward, I think post-monsoon, while the actual growth or the growth at the levels of first quarter of 2019 or last part of 2018, that will take time. Probably that will take more than a year or year. So, but post-monsoon, I think October to December quarter, we should see some decent movement in the marketplace. And probably then that should improve in the first quarter of next year, which is Jan to March 2021.
And I would like to, I mean, recently ICRA came up with a report stating that most of the state governments are under financial distress, and so the most likely in this financial year there will be huge budget cuts for the infrastructural projects that are already either being financed partially or for the new projects as well. So with Case Constructions having a wide market base in the earth moving equipments for road construction and other infra projects, what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like there will be a little bit of, say, subdued demand in terms of getting new projects, say, financed by state governments or even by other agencies of the government? What are your thoughts on that?
So, yeah, I agree, and I have also read that report of ICRA where it says that state governments have got financial crunch at the moment. And as we see and read other statistics, that appears to be kind of justifying. But my take on this is that any which way the Minister for Roads and Highways has expressed his commitment towards this sector. He has in public has said 40 kilometers to 60 kilometers a day. And I think, yes, it's a transient phase. The state governments will see how we see is that after agriculture, construction is the second largest sector providing employment in this country. Good part is that the wealth in India generates from the farms, and this this crop and the coming crop and monsoon all appears to be going in the right direction. So agriculture sector is creating wealth for the country. That should help the entire ecosystem, both ultimately state government and central government. That should give a lot of relief. So the second sector which will mobilize the large part of economic activity is the construction. So the benefits of or the gains which we get from agriculture sector should come to the construction equipment sector. In certain states, probably this transition will be faster, and in certain states it will be slower. But my personal opinion is, I think there is no other option for the state governments to create employment and restart the economic activities, but to invest in construction activities in the states. There could be here and there a relook of couple of projects. There could be here and there reprioritization of money allocation in existing or new projects. But my take is road, for example, mining, for example, these are the sectors which are the core sectors for a country's economic growth, and they will not stop.
Okay. Right. And there is also another perspective that since now in the last 2-3 months, we have witnessed a mass exodus of migrant laborers from the construction activity sites. So which many stakeholders in the industry say is creating new challenges for labor and all. But there are also certain positive voices that says that this lack of labor will speed up the rate of automation, wherein more machines and more say high capacity machines will be required, and this will create a different set of demand, something like that. Is that true? How do you see that?
Yeah, so I see it differently. So my personal my perspective is optimistic. There's a see, whether we like it or not, that's a new normal. Laborers have migrated back to their places, and they will come back, but it will take probably time. However, I was reading a newspaper article which was saying that the reverse migration is happening,
right.
And laborers are actually coming back, and the trains are full. But how I see as a so that cusp will always happen. But how I see is it's a blessing in disguise. I would say it's an opportunity. As you said, the shortage of labor will kick off the mechanization on the sites, but that's the after effect of the whole situation. How I see is when the laborers go back, and go back to their roots. By and large, we may see a situation that the large part of these workers who have gone back to their places, they will get into reskilling process. So as a country, I see it's a positive. That will be a positive trend, because then these people will start reskilling themselves to suit the activities which are happening today in the new normal.
Okay.
At their probably nearby their native places. So which means the economic activity will not get confined to larger hotspots in the country. It will be much widely spread into much widely spread out sectors where the manpower. What that will do, probably that will help many other MSMEs, medium and small scale industry to move from probably urban centers to semi-urban and rural centers, because the manpower would be available, funds would be available, skills will be available. So I see as an opportunity going forward in the long run. Probably we'll have more widely spread out economic activity and therefore the wealth. Whether we like it or not, that's a normal. That's a new normal. People have gone back to their villages. They will probably stay till the next harvesting happens. And if harvest is good, and if they by the time they reskill themselves, they would probably like to resettle near their place, which is also good for the country. For the sector, yes, I said because of the shortage of labor, yes, in certain places we have seen the temporary demand for the equipment is there. Yes. What probably it will also help all of us to look at the productivity and the efficiency of the whole process within the construction sector as well. Right. And there are cost points at which industry is working, probably that will see a positive change.
Right. And as far as Case India is concerned, Now, I could say in the last couple of years, your brand has brought different new products in different segments. Say, even in XCon, you had, I think, 2 or 3 debut launches. So,
Yeah.
and we have also seen that in the last 1 year, you have taken tremendous steps to make sure that telematics is one of the affordable
Yes.
options and a standard fitment for all the products. And all. So, these in the last 2 years, industry in general, as well as case as well, has made a lot of technological progress in terms of the products as well. And also in this year, we were, scheduled to switch over to a further stringent emission norm as well. We're not sure what is going to be the actual implementation of that, considering that the industry is full of new challenges.
Yeah.
Now, with this pandemic in place, and the days to come is also going to be a little bit stressful, and it's not going to be the same normal as it was before. As far as case is India is concerned, like what are your strategies and plans for this new normal? Is there going to be a technological onslaught like before, or is it going to be a kind of wait and watch situation where some like popular and say fast moving products will be mainstreamed, as well as, and these new technologies will be taken a back seat? How's your strategy? How are you trying to strategize this scenario?
Sure. See, this pandemic has taught us one thing, that the technology is a big driver, and in many ways it was actually a savior even in these lockdown periods. Uh, Probably 3 months back, we would have never imagined that we'll have video conferences, we'll have meetings, and we'll be working from home throughout the day, hours together, and work will probably continue.
Right.
It took us some time to get adjusted to this normal, but technology has helped, and by and large across all sectors and segments within the society, the need and the appreciation for the technology has come in. It's a new normal. Uh, how we see it is, the influx of technology. We will, at least at case, we are committed for the improvement and enhancement of our products, and therefore through our products help our customers to improve their efficiencies and improve their cost positions. We will continue to do that. We will continue to bring in the technologies. We will continue to bring in technologies to help our customers, and also not only for on the economic front, but also on the safety and efficiency, health and safety part of it as well. As we just discussed, there'll be a shift in the availability of manpower, or the skill level of the manpower. The products going forward, what we will bring in will not only improve the cost point, but also health and safety of the people who are working on the sites. So that aspect of technology we will continue to bring in. We will continue to bring in technology in products which will improve the overall efficiency and options available for the customers. We will continue to invest in technology in terms and the technology and the proper training for the people who are going to use those technologies. So our training efforts have been stepped up. That is one learning which we have got in the lockdown period. And again, it was a new normal. We learned that on our training platform, which we used to use for our internal training purpose, actually we could extend it to the customer. So we had probably connected with the operation and maintenance teams of almost all our customers, and had training sessions on how to restart equipment after a lockdown or non-operational periods of 2-3 weeks. So those maintenance trainings, talking about the product. So that aspect we have stepped up significantly. We had also, had a massive outreach program during the lockdown. We spoke to a lot of customers. We understood now in a much better way what the customer needs today and in coming future because of this lockdown. How she's going to think differently, or her needs are going to be different. And as you said, telematics is going to be an integral part of the product line and the offerings what we have. That should help our customers to manage their fleet in a much perfectly and balanced way. So technology is something which we will not stop bringing in this market.
Tell us a little bit about your supply chain. Now, with this corona lockdown in place, like now nations have become very tough in terms of border movements and all. Although goods movements are not that impacted as such, but we could see a major disruption in terms of supply chain involving China, for instance, wherein China has a major stake in sourcing of components for construction equipment manufacturing as well. So, is there any problems in that regard for your supply chain? How about your dependence from your parent organizations in Europe, where they're also facing a lot of issues out of the same pandemic? So, how is this all tackled? And you can also give us like how is your brand? What is your brand's take on this self-reliance concept, wherein you have already tried to localize a lot of manufacturing in India as well. So I guess that's you're already taking a huge lead in that. So what are your thoughts on all these?
Yeah, you're right. So we are in India for almost more than 30 years, and during this period, the products which we are manufacturing here have been localized almost fully. So to that extent, we had been able to manage it. I think I would say our planning guys have done a pretty good job. So we had been able to manage the disruption in supply chain pretty well, as I said. So all our products are available off the shelf. Construction equipment products are available off the shelf, even despite of the lockdowns and disruptions, both imported and locally manufactured. During the initial part of lockdown itself, the supply chain and planning teams have worked with the vendors. We had the workarounds put in place during the very initial parts of lockdown. So to that extent, the disruption in most of the components has been taken care of, so that we don't have any major disruption of availability of component. Therefore, our dependence on one particular country, the names which you just took, was not of that larger pain to us, and we believe in Atmanirbhar Bharat. So that's something that's a decent line to take. Some of the components which come from European countries, as you rightly said, they were affected, but then again, those factories in Italy and other part of the world, they are now working, and the fresh supplies have already in place now. So from our side, there has been virtually no disruption in terms of availability of products or running the lines, so to say.
Right. And now you must be interacting with a lot of customers and a lot of fleet owners in this in the domestic industry as well. Now, some are saying that there is a little bit of say in terms of underutilization of fleets, that scenario exists in India. And people are saying that, especially the rental companies, they say that most of their fleets are lying idle because there is limited demand from the end users. Now, if that is that true or not, I want to get your opinion on that. And if that is true, what will be the incentive for a customer to go for new products when they have already a product which is lying idle? So, what is your take on that in the coming time?
So you're right. So if this, I'll probably answer this question again going back 7-8 months back, and when the liquidity crisis was there. Yes, you're right. The fleet utilization was a concern, and rental companies were feeling the pinch because the monies were not coming back. And we also have a rental fleet. We have a fleet of excavators which we run on rental as a standalone rental business. So you're right. So while the deployment of machines was a problem, but getting the money back, which is due to us, was a bigger challenge for our rental fleet as well. Obviously post-pandemic, post-lockdown, those fleets are now they've started working again. But the monies which were due in January and February is yet to, in large part of the portfolio is yet to come. Now, But going forward, as I see the order book for our rental fleet does not cover 100%. So my entire fleet is not running today as well. And that has been our understanding from majority of customers. But the good thing is that the utilization is going up. Probably it has still not reached to that tipping point where it triggers a fresh purchase. Our estimate is that post-monsoon, September and October onwards, those utilizations should also go up. And then therefore the fresh purchases should come back. It will also depend how fast the contractors are able to get the payments which are due to them, and then they redeploy those cash back into the system. Banks have been have a lot of liquidity availability today. Probably that should also help as the contractors approach and seek those funds to come into the business. So yes, today there is a stress on fleet deployment and also the monies which are coming back. But at the end of the day, our estimate is maybe next 5 to 6 months or by the end of the year, that situation should ease.
Okay.
Depending upon obviously the money has to come in the whole cycle first.
Right. So at
Our
the right. Go ahead.
The telemetry is showing that in certain pockets the machine utilization is going up.
Right. So and another segment of business is the aftermarket and service segment. Now, considering that if a customer is not going for new products, which means like there is an extra stress for the existing fleets. So which means they require more of maintenance, and the aftermarket setup needs to be right on toes, right? So how is Case India doing in that regard? Are you now in general, I could see that in the last 3-4 years, like OEMs are trying to take a huge share or make the aftermarket also as a sustainable stream of revenue for them. Now, how is Case India doing in that regard? How are you equipping your sales and service networks so that they can address the new challenges arising during this lockdown period for servicing and maintenance of your products as such with your customers?
Yeah, sure. So, how we see is that, in current scenario, retaining our customers and ensuring that they are serviced well, that is of prime importance, rather than going out for acquisition of new customers. So our primary priority is to ensure that the machines which are running, they keep on running. So therefore, as I said, the dealer outlets have started operating, even during the lockdown with due permissions from the local authorities and government, as per government policies and recommendations which were there, to ensure that the machines which require service, which require parts, which require technical support, it is provided to them. And we had been tracking it on a daily basis, each machine by machine, especially the machines which are working as a production machine in their respective sectors. The supplies from our mother warehouse to depots and from depots to dealers, all that has is running perfectly smoothly. As I said, the telematics data is showing that the machine utilization is going up. It has probably still not reached to the levels where it used to be earlier. So to that extent, I won't say that the utilization and therefore the need for parts has gone beyond the levels at which the things were being serviced earlier. So we are completely capable, and we have in this process we have retrained a lot of rather entire sales and service team of ours. We have also reskilled them wherever it was needed. Wherever there were gaps, we have filled those gaps so that in terms of competence, the team is fully equipped in terms of product knowledge, in terms of customer needs. So those gaps have been filled. So the efficiency of the after sales network has been improved significantly. So we are very, very confident that we are completely on top of the situation when it comes to after sales service. We are in this country for the last 30 years, so we definitely understand the need and the importance after sales service is having in this particular sector, construction equipment sector. So fully committed to that.
Right. So as an end note, just identify which are the major growth areas that you foresee in the upcoming, say, 1 year or 2 years? Now, as we see, this pandemic in itself is going to extend for quite some time, which means its further impacts will last for another 2 or 3 years. So, which means from an OEM perspective, like which are the major growth areas or potential areas that, as an OEM, you should focus your attention more? And where does the key element of recovery lies in for the Indian construction equipment industry from your perspective?
Yeah. So one thing which we have as an organization, as a brand, which we have consciously ensured during this crisis time is that uh, we had been standing by our dealer network, you know, so that they sustain. We had been standing by our suppliers, especially MSME suppliers, because the growth will come back, right? It's important for our partners to sail through these troubled times. So we had been standing by them. And we had also stood by very, very strongly with our customers. Fortunately, and we took the right decision of having the captive finance. So that has been of great help to our customers as well. So for all our stakeholders, we had been able to manage perfectly, strike a balance between the stress which these stakeholders would have probably gone through, and the strengths what we have, which we could have extended to them. Now that helps us to see the medium term and long term growth, in a right perspective. What we see in the medium term, yes, as a nation, there could be the economy may shrink a little bit. But most of the indicators, and I would just refer to one of them, which is the Fitch Rating APAC Sovereign Credit Overview, which is projecting that the India GDP growth likely to return higher levels than its triple B peers in this category as a long term. I think there's another study which was forecasting 9.5% GDP growth next year.
Right.
What probably is going to happen is that the manufacturing sector and the manufacturing landscape in the country is going to see a significant shift in terms of quality and also in terms of production levels which we are operating today. We will also see, thanks to Atmanirbhar Bharat initiatives, a lot of Indian companies investing in R&D and process capabilities, and improving the quality levels to be able to cater to the global requirements. So we see exports going up significantly. As an Indian entity, also within case our exports are growing. So today, a large part of exports is whole goods, but we see a possibility of exporting the components also to the various factories across which we are group companies, so to say. So in that respect, we would help the MSMEs also to take a larger share of the growth pie. What is going to happen, and also the emission norms, which as an industry consortium, we have requested government to look at it. Because of the pandemic, we had not been, the industry had not been able to probably keep on working on those developments. So therefore, a request has been there with the through ICMA. The request has been given to the government, which government is looking at. So that should also help us to come at par with the global standard. So exports is going to be one big area. The second thing which I see is the shift of unskilled labor to skilled. Large part of unskilled labor getting skilled, and skilled labor to multi-skilled. So that's a shift I see personally within the workforce side of it, and that should also help as a cascading effect, help the manufacturing industry as a whole. Third thing which I see is the fundamentally India is a rural economy. And the way we had been able to sustain these troubled times, also thanks to the rural side of the economy. That I see probably will get more focus and more investments and more initiatives coming from both government and private sector to have larger play in the rural economy. So that's how I see the overall couple of years behaving like.
Right. I think a very important thing that you mentioned is that as an OEM, you have a larger responsibility to take care of your stakeholders, which includes your supply chain members as well as dealers. That's one thing. And the other major takeaway that I take from your point is to stay more focused on the technology as well, wherein the technology can also be a solution for the current crisis and the challenges that we find. Right. Thank you. So thank you so much for sparing your time. And please do keep us posted on any new initiatives that Case India is coming. We'll be happy to interact with you again at another opportunity. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Divyansh, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, and really appreciate the time you had invested for this interview.
Thank you, sir. Right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.